Fallout 3 can be pretty creepy at times. The vibe of the post-apocalyptic wasteland lends itself to myths and legends. Since the game came out in 2008, players have had plenty of time to share campfire stories of creatures, places, and events that may or may not exist. It doesn't help that there are actual places in-game that have legitimately inexplicable and/or paranormal events taking place. If anything, these only fuel the fires of speculation. If the developers saw fit to include such things, then surely the rumours of undiscovered horrors could potentially be true. So, with that being said, let's take a dive into a collection of player-rumoured and in-world urban legends, from the debunked to the proven, from the almost forgotten to the unforgettable, and make sure to stay until the end for the strangest Fallout 3 mystery that ever existed. We'll start with something that's definitely real to set the scene, and to show that Bethesda are more than happy to embrace the paranormal. The Dunwich Building needs no introduction, with its eerie vibe blurring the line between reality and the supernatural. Many of you will have experienced the strangeness. First off, the self-opening door in the South Corridor's upper section, but only when you approach from the east. Random? Maybe. Paranormal? Certainly seems so. And then there's the unexplained hallucination flashback to the building's pre-war days. The visuals flicker, transporting players between past and present. One moment you're glimpsing a man engrossed in a clipboard. The next, the same figure is replaced by a feral ghoul with the clipboard discarded beside it. Elsewhere in the building, a coffee pot, as if propelled by an unseen force, crashes to the floor, and a nearby fan is toppled over. But perhaps the most chilling of all, venture to the first floor and on a seemingly nondescript table, you'll find a severed head. Step out, and upon your return, it vanishes into thin air. No doubt when these events were reported by players way back in 2008, they were dismissed as simply trolling or trying to come up with a creepypasta. But it turned out these were true, and they're now very well known. So we know that Bethesda is more than happy to place really strange and eerie events in the game, which makes me wonder whether some of the other legends could be true. Which takes us to the Arlington Cemetery ghost. I remember this being talked about on forums way back in 2008 and 2009, but those posts are lost to the mists of time, or at least I can't find them anywhere anymore. However, I did find mention of it on the Fallout Myths wiki. For those unfamiliar, Arlington Cemetery can be found tucked behind buildings beyond the western shores of the Potomac River. The expansive grounds of the cemetery, though worn with time, have an eerie ambience, further intensified by the almost perpetual mist and the sporadic gusts that lift dust into the air. Many who frequented forums to share stories of their experiences way back in the day attributed this unsettling atmosphere to the legend of the Arlington Cemetery ghost. Some said that the ever-shifting dust clouds are misinterpreted as the spectral form of this ghost drifting about. Legend holds that this ghostly presence haunts both the Arlington Cemetery and its adjoining structures. The cemetery's naturally haunting milieu, being a place of eternal rest, is likely a primary reason for the birth of such legends. As mentioned, the unpredictable movements of dust that emerge and vanish tend to unsettle visitors, leading many to feel as though a spirit is in pursuit. In some investigations, it was mentioned that Mr. Crowley had been spotted darting through the grounds. Obviously, his usual haunt is the underworld located across the Potomac. This suggests he would need to traverse the waters to arrive at the cemetery, leading some to theorise that he might be the misidentified ghost. So, could it be true that there's a ghost at the cemetery, or is it just imagination? Or a glitch? Or Crowley going mad and running away through the headstones? Next, let's take a look at another rumour I remember being discussed on forums way back in the day, the Point Lookout Dinosaur. This legend began when dinosaur remains were uncovered in the DLC Point Lookout, specifically near the coastal grotto on its eastern side. Found submerged just offshore, these skeletal remains can only be viewed clearly by positioning the camera at an angle that eliminates water's distortion. Many speculate the bones to be that of a T-Rex. Adjacent to it, there's a sealed safe containing miscellaneous items. The discovery of the T-Rex remains fueled speculations among players on online forums about the existence of living dinosaurs on Point Lookout. However, no evidence supports this theory, and the bones seem to serve merely as an Easter egg. Remaining in Point Lookout, we come to the myth of the Point Lookout Witch. With the location draped in eerie swampland, the vibe set a chilling backdrop for this legend that I remember floating around online Fallout communities in the early days after the DLC's release. The tale began when players first stumbled upon numerous voodoo dolls dangling from trees throughout the map, something that we're a lot more familiar with now. Given that witches in folklore are often associated with using such dolls to inflict harm upon their victims, rumours began to circulate of a witch, or perhaps a coven, lurking in the swamps, wielding voodoo and other dark magics against the inhabitants. Some players speculated that the dolls might just be the handiwork of local swamp folk. However, proponents of the witch theory countered that these locals are mere cannibals with no inclination towards voodoo. Adding to the mystery, to the northwest of the jet crash site, there's an expansive cave system. Inside, a myriad of skeletons and various items linked to witchcraft and voodoo can be found. This led some of those who commented to believe that it might be the dwelling place of the enigmatic witch, or perhaps another nefarious recluse. Yet, despite the myths and rumours, there's no concrete evidence to confirm the existence of the Point Lookout witch. On the other hand, we can't deny what we haven't seen either. It's not just the real world that's full of urban legends about Fallout 3. The in-game culture and characters have them too. Among these legends, one of the most intriguing and chilling is the tale of the Puppet Man. When the catastrophic Great War ravaged the world on 23rd of October 2077, one individual, later known as the Puppet Man, found himself trapped in the confinements of Vault 77. This vault wasn't like the others. There were no families, no friends, just him and a mysterious crate of puppets. This solitude was not by accident, but was the twisted outcome of one of the infamous vault experiments designed to observe human behaviour under extreme conditions. The first few months were a psychological torment for him. Alone in the vast underground shelter, he oscillated between panic and debilitating depression, grappling with the maddening silence of his surroundings. It was only after 1 year, 3 months, and 12 days that he mustered the courage to unseal the crate that contained the puppets. Inside, he found an assortment of characters: Reverend Hound, a dog-like figure, a benign-looking grandmother named Granny, a king, and the iconic Vault Boy, an image synonymous with the Fallout series. For the Puppet Man, these puppets soon became more than mere toys. They began to speak to him, leading to a series of increasingly disturbing events. A bleakly humorous turn of events saw the king puppet murdered, his head gruesomely torn off, with the Vault Boy puppet admitting to the act, implicating the Puppet Man as an accomplice. Driven by paranoia and fear of reprisal from Reverend Hound, who took on the role of the sheriff, the Puppet Man fled Vault 77 on the 31st of March 2079. The world outside was no refuge either. The wasteland was unforgiving. The Puppet Man faced monstrous rad scorpions, commandeered a giant ant as his mount, and even crossed paths with a ghoul. Fate then led him to 2 slavers, whom he warned about the dangerous Vault Boy puppet. Their greed and indecision over enslaving or eating him proved to be their downfall. The Puppet Man, driven by the puppet's influence or perhaps his own fractured psyche, violently dispatched the first slaver, Bob. The ensuing chase brought him to the slaver's base, where he was christened the Puppet Man after a horrifying massacre that left all the slavers dead, with both him and the puppet bathed in blood. Although players of Fallout 3 don't encounter the Puppet Man directly, his presence is felt. Inside Paradise Falls, the notorious slaver base in the capital wasteland, players can find a Vault 77 jumpsuit. Alongside it, an audio recording named "Burn This Goddamn Jumpsuit" tells of a slaver's desperate plea to destroy the garment for fear of its vengeful owner. This unique jumpsuit, when worn, grants the wearer a bonus of +5 to both unarmed and melee weapons. Given that Fallout 3 is set in 2277, 2 centuries after the Puppet Man's tale, one could dismiss this as a mere Easter egg, but the legend of the Puppet Man might have persisted, handed down amongst the slavers over generations, immortalising him as a spectral figure of fear. Some have speculated that Paradise Falls itself could be the very HQ where the Puppet Man's murderous spree unfolded. The ultimate fate of the Puppet Man and his malevolent Vault Boy puppet remains a mystery. Did he perish in the wastes, or did he transform into an immortal ghoul? The Slaver's holotape does hint at the Puppet Man still being alive in 2277, or perhaps his deeds from 2079 became a legend so terrifying that it resonated for 200 years. The mere presence of the Vault 77 jumpsuit at Paradise Falls suggests a deep connection, maybe indicating the final resting place of the Puppet Man, but its story remains one of the capital wasteland's most haunting in-game urban legends. So we've looked at player-reported urban legends and in-game ones, but what about those that are tantalising in their lack of coverage or evidence? 3 years ago, a Reddit post was made that listed a couple of urban legends from the Fallout universe, including one that hasn't appeared anywhere else to the best of my knowledge: the barely known legend of the Rat Man of Warrington Station. Warrington Station is part of the larger Warrington train yard, an abandoned metro location to the west of Tenpenny Tower. The station and its tunnels are primarily inhabited by feral ghouls. The Warrington tunnels connect the station to Warrington train yard and are home to Roy Phillips, his girlfriend Bessie Lynn, and Michael Masters. They are non-feral ghouls who you may recall are trying to find a new place to live, and their goal is to move into the nearby Tenpenny Tower. But what about the Rat Man? There has never been any other mention of the Rat Man than this one post, despite my searching for it high and low. For whatever reason, the name Ratman of Warrington Station really piqued my interest. That paired with the fact that there is only one mention of it. Is it possible that this is a real entity in Fallout 3? Or is it someone misremembering or trolling by dropping a fake legend into a post containing other, more well-known ones? If you know anything about this legend, let me know in the comments. Moving on from the mysteries with hardly any coverage, we'll take a look at one that's been completely debunked: the myth of Dogmeat shooting lasers. This appeared on a Game FAQs post an amazing 14 years ago, getting a bit of a conversation going. The player asserted that using the paralysing Pam perk technique or any other method for knocking down characters, which allows the player to use Dogmeat as a mobile stash, and then equipping Dogmeat with the Wazer rifle unique weapon, would cause him to bark lasers. Obviously, in this case, the OP was simply trying to wind up players by getting them to carry out a pointless series of steps, only to find out that Dogmeat did not, in fact, bark lasers. Indeed, it even made its way onto a talk page on the Fallout wiki itself, where an editor commented, "There is no bug, nor is there a hoax. Someone at Something Awful posted an animated GIF of Dogmeat shooting lasers titled, 'Shh, this is a joke.' Some especially gullible individuals started spreading news of this bug around, and now it refuses to die. It was actually pretty funny before morons started thinking it was really in the game." So, in case you're in doubt, there's no way to get Dogmeat to bark lasers. Now, the various myths and legends we've discussed, whether true or otherwise, have been interesting, but are child's play compared to the one I've saved for last. A widely shared legend about the game in days gone by was that a radio channel could transform into a numbers station that offered predictions of the future when the right conditions are met. This isn't accurate, of course. The tale of the Fallout 3 number station was essentially a well-crafted creepypasta. This urban legend has circulated around the internet almost since the game's inception. Even though Bethesda, the developers of Fallout, have clarified that the story's false, the myth lingers on. It's intriguing how some stories firmly grip onto our imagination. Most great stories have a grain of truth though. There are stations in Fallout that transmit Morse code, so the idea of number stations isn't as outlandish as it might seem at first glance. For those unfamiliar, number stations are shortwave radio channels that predominantly broadcast numerical sequences. These sequences are often thought to be encrypted messages conveying military intelligence and other confidential data. However, the supposed Fallout 3 number stations broadcasts weren't your standard fare. They contained messages of a different nature. The legend shared around went a little something like this, and note that everything I say next is part of the legend, even mentions of things out with the game Fallout 3 itself. As you know, Fallout 3 showcases a variety of in-game radio channels. The most intricate and essential is Galaxy News Radio. Players with a wicked inclination are aware that killing Three Dog results in Margaret, the technician, taking over. Margaret lacks charisma and speaks minimally, indicating her disinterest in her newfound role. Moreover, she never physically appears in-game, making her indestructible. With Three Dog gone, Margaret remains. Yet, a lesser-known fact among players is that under specific conditions, GNR transforms into a number station. The exact criteria to activate the number station remains ambiguous. Evidence suggests that Three Dog must be eliminated since there are no accounts of the station being active with him alive. Players also seem to bypass the Galaxy News Radio mission where you amplify the station's signal range. Crucially, you must obliterate Raven Rock. This action transforms GNR into a number station for the remainder of the gameplay. However, only a minority who accomplish these tasks experience the changed broadcasts, suggesting other undiscovered prerequisites. Upon successfully triggering these events and post-Raven Rock destruction, players will receive notifications of radio signal lost, and soon after, radio signal found. At this point, you can't yet tune into GNR due to the limited signal range, unless you're at specific elevated locations including the immediate DC vicinity, Point Lookout's Ferris Wheel Summit, several accessible SATCOM arrays in the northwest map zone, Tenpenny Tower's rooftop, Arifu's Shattered Bridge Peak, and mountainous areas proximate to Raven Rock, giving players an initial opportunity to access the number station. When you connect, the eerily familiar voice of Three Dog emerges, even though you had previously killed his character. He monotonously enumerates a sequence of single-digit numbers, for instance 9379172034, excluding any double-digit numbers. This is followed by Morse code of varying lengths and then the tune "I Don't Want to Set the World on Fire." All other tracks seem dormant on the station. The Morse code didn't remain cryptic for long given its known nature. One player realised that a message containing numbers and the phrase "you'll be missed" correlated to actor Gary Coleman's date and time of death. Further analysis revealed another message aligning with the BP oil spill incident, prompting players to re-examine the game for future predictions. Subsequent evaluations unveiled messages dating both past and pre-game release. One such message read, 22:15, April 15th, 1865. He's gone. Likely Booth will be blamed. Johnson owes me. Casting skepticism on Abraham Lincoln's assassination narrative. As this discovery gained traction on the Fallout Wiki forums, administrators promptly banned participants and purged all content related to the numbers station. Stringent measures were employed to counter further sharing. Nevertheless, a select few continue to decipher and date these mysterious in-game messages via private communication. The messages and dates were: the Queen has died today, the world mourns, and on days we are all Brits. March 19th, 2014. Have you watched my YouTube video yet? I uploaded myself kicking bums in the December 24th, 2012. I can't believe Britney's actually won an Oscar. February 27th, 2023. I can't believe they've actually done it. Not long left. They were warned, but they just had to keep pushing the boundaries of science. The noise. I can't take the noise anymore. And the light, dear God. The universe is slowly unravelling around us. I'm not going to wait for death. I have a pistol in the attic. It may be worth noting that the latest date on any of the messages is July 6th, 2027. So there you have it. That was the story of the Fallout 3 numbers station. Now, obviously none of this was true. The Queen's death, for example, was stated to be 2014, however, she lived until 2022, contradicting the legend. Similarly, an email sent by Bethesda to Games Radar journalist Jimmy Tibble stated, "Sounds like a cool theory, but there's no truth to it." Now it's simply viewed as a creepypasta, but it's a fantastic example of the genre that took the internet by storm in the late 2000s and 2010s. And in some ways, I wish this one was true. Even if the future predictions weren't real, it would have been wild to imagine Bethesda putting something like this into a game. Of course, they probably wouldn't have predicted the deaths of real people, famous or otherwise, but pretending to predict a nuclear war or some other more mundane events to creep players out would have been crazy. Then there's the thought that crosses my mind. What if something as crazy as this really happened in the future? What if some super advanced AI was helping to make a game and ended up using its forecasting and analytical prowess to shove in some future predictions that somehow came true? It's not as unfeasible a story as it would have been 15 years ago, especially with the advancements in AI. Anyway, with all that said, I hope you've enjoyed this journey into the unconfirmed, debunked, and in-game urban legends surrounding Fallout 3. Of course, I'm curious to know if you've had any experiences with Fallout 3. Has anything mysterious or inexplicable ever happened to you? Share your thoughts, and if I get enough and there's proof, material or corroboration, I might even make a video about it. In any case, take care and see you next time.